Hello, Ray Phoenix here. Welcome to Let's Play Ratchet Deadlocked, Part 22. We finally made it to the final boss of the game, and Clank is going to give us a message about the guy we're going to be going against, Seaman Vox himself. He just pushes Clank to the side. He's in the comfort of his own little robot mech, where it's revealed he's nothing but a talentless ass clown that doesn't have any combat talents or anything. He just sits in his comfy little mech that was probably built by Dr. Wily, where he's just gonna send his robot minions, as well as his own weapons, is gonna blast down on us, and he does it all in his comfort zone. He has TVs in there too. He's probably gonna be watching like Netflix or his own TV channel maybe, or YouTube. It's gonna go to our non-localized CGI cutscene of us getting prepped for battle. Does this before every boss in the game, to make it seem like, oh, we mean business. We're going to be taking on this boss. This boss is, of course, going to be a big deal. Since when was a boss not a big deal in this game? I mean, pretty much all the bosses have been quite challenging, but this guy isn't that challenging. It's actually typical for a Ratchet and Clank final boss, or any final boss in a game made by Insomniac Games. I was expecting a really big challenge here, but he's actually not as challenging as I thought. Unless he just stays in his comfort zone, you can easily blast him by using this sniper rifle, the fusion rifle. You also use the fusion rifle to destroy like rows and rows of these robot crab things out of the crabs. You know, he likes to give us crabs to go and rip us apart. But those crabs can be killed off easy by our weapons, and our robot protectors are pretty much useless, as their weapons are pretty much made out of Play-Doh. They don't really do much towards the main villain himself or any of these other enemies. We're going to be relying on this new weapon that we're not really relying, because this weapon doesn't really do much against the final boss. It does more against his minions. I just blasted him several times with the most powerful weapon in the game, or it's supposedly the most powerful weapon in the game. It just lightly slashed his health. It just took a small sliver off of his health. It already got down a quarter of his health already in this final battle. And we got an upgrade for the most powerful weapon there is, because you only have to kill like a few enemies to get this thing upgraded. It doesn't give us any free ammo either for getting an upgrade. I don't know if that was something that the Seaman Vox purposefully did, just so we could get into this. And I did so you can't, like, cheat the level or cheat the game. But then some of those challenges where people like say, oh, I can only use this one weapon, but if I time it correctly, you'll get upgraded at this point in the game. Don't give me a new set of ammo. Sounds like one of those kinds of challenges. You also still have this thing we used to like play whack-a-mole with those, only you whack everything. There's never a time something's gonna come up that you shouldn't whack. It was like a mindless game of whack-a-mole in this game, and again, this whole game was completely mindless, so it makes sense the final boss is gonna be mindless too. So it does fit with the identity of this game. This game's identity is to be, just a mindless battle, and this final boss did a perfect job of depicting that. This is almost like some of the final bosses in the Ape Escape games, where you have to use a slingback shooter to blast Spectre while he's in the sky and destroy his thing. He already took out half of his health. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think this guy has any, like, health regeneration abilities or anything like that. He's not that Ace Hardlight, that guy that faked his death earlier. It's really just nothing more than a publicity stunt. Of course this guy's gonna be big on publicity stunts. And then we just jump here, looks like we're freaking Batman or something like that. We're jumping and dodging these lasers. I mean, freaking Batman is what Dante and Randall were training to be when they went to college to take, what was that course called? Like criminology or something like that. And it's like, yeah, what were we training to do? Be freaking Batman? We should actually make a real course like that. Learn how to be Batman, or better yet, take a course on how to be Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank. That would be the best, like, program course ever. In any kind of school academic program. And I mean, it's not really like a profitable field of study, but it is something that could save your life in an event like this, where you get captured by some fish guy. He's called a fish guy. His health is pretty much dead now, destroyed. That's what I meant by this fish guy's kind of a weakling, kind of like Kit Fisto in Star Wars Episode 3, where he got killed in a matter of seconds. Like all those other Jedi that tried to take on Palpatine and got killed in a matter of seconds. They were all pathetic little wussies, and this guy's a pathetic little wussy too. I thought this was gonna be like the first time Anakin fought against Count Dooku in the medieval church, where he really went to an epic battle, and ultimately ended with Anakin getting his hand cut off, which is what probably happened to Gleeman Vox in an earlier game, or an earlier point of his history, getting his hand cut off and thrown across. Only, to my surprise, it actually turned out more like Anakin and Dooku's encounter in Star Wars Episode 3, where Anakin actually got the better of Count Dooku. That's how my mom remembered Star Wars Episode 2 as being. I think George Lucas may have intended something similar to that in an earlier draft of the movie, and that's how this played out. We definitely got the better of this fool, this sea creature fool, this alien sea creature fool thing. We definitely got the better of him. We now destroyed his own thing, and he's gonna blow up his entire stadium. And whose fault it is? Well, of course it's his, because he is such a jerk. He is a jackass. He doesn't have a level of education. He probably just flunked school when he was like in the 2nd grade and never really got any more education since then. This game sometimes seems like it was made by a 2nd grader, considering all the ballistic action that happens. I don't know, maybe that's a good thing. I mean, they get 5-year-olds to write the Fast and Furious movies, so I guess it would be perfectly fitting a game like this would be written by a 2nd grader, and his whole stadium's destroyed. The kids are like, whoa, look at that! The supernova outside! The stadium's been destroyed. I wonder how these kids ended up in the stadium in the first place. Or ended up being the promoters for those things, or I wonder how they found those kids anyways. Were they like orphans owned by a studio or something? Like that kid from Little Rascals that Mo Sizlak killed when he was young? He's like saying, I want to see the window now. Yeah, Dallas and Juanita managed to escape too. Because we care about the news people too, the news crews, they're just as important as us. They don't deserve to get killed. Since when did they ever do anything bad, like spread misinformation around? And there are these other warriors that were supposedly abducted by this Blue Man Vox guy, and now we're seeing them again. They seem like they were supposed to be warriors who were supposed to have met throughout the course of the game, and maybe like supporting characters, but we don't see them until the very end, so it's like we forget they exist. And oh look, we're getting a message from Captain Quark too, saying like, oh, there's a rumor going around that a bunch of heroes all over the galaxy are randomly getting captured so they could be in some game show thing. What a bunch of baloney. How can you have a superhero show without Captain Quark in it? Well, this does seem like kind of a lost opportunity that Captain Quark wasn't really in this game. He's one of my favorite parts of Ratchet and Clank. It really does add a lot of humor and comedy to the game, especially to have those Quark vid comics in Ratchet and Clank up your arsenal. I loved that game so much, partially because it had those vid comics which are really funny and cool and everything. But that's kind of a lost opportunity in this game. I think they could have had more Captain Quark stuff in this game. They could put more playable characters in it too. They could have put like, you know, they could have heard in some. There's also like a skin where you could play as Jack from Jak and Daxter, but he's only playable with a 2nd player for some reason. I don't know why they did that, but for some reason they made him only playable by player 2. There's like a Clank skin where Clank's some sort of battle warrior and some other weirdo warriors, and they should have just thrown Paul Blart in this game. He could have just used his Segway to destroy all the enemies easy in this game. No one stands a chance against Paul Blart. You just randomly throw him in there. And there's all the credits. The credits are mostly the same as they are the American version. I think I added a few parts where it says published, or changed a few parts where it says published by Sony Computer Entertainment of Japan. And it lists some names that were specific to the Japanese version, as well as the Japanese voice actors. I don't really know much about Japanese voice actors, so of course, these are pretty much going to be all people I've never heard of before and probably won't hear of anywhere else again, unless I successfully move to Japan in the future, which could very well be a possibility considering how things are going. Those are all the familiar names we've seen from the other Ratchet and Clank games, the Spyro games, the people at Insomniac Games, our friends, the people that have always strived hard to make this game an excellent game. They always make the greatest games. I don't think I've ever played any bad games from Insomniac Games. And pretty much all the Ratchet and Clank games have credits similar to this. It's just like a montage of stills from various levels of the game. It's giving us the credits for people that worked at Insomniac Games on this game. I remember going to these places. It's like it's giving us like a retrospective reflection on, oh, these are all the places you've been before. All these war zones. What is their fate? I have no idea. I have no idea what will become of these planets in the future. I don't think we've seen them in any future Ratchet and Clank games. But then again, this was the last Ratchet and Clank game on the PS2 that originated as a PS2 game, and that's not a port of any of the PSP games. I'm not really familiar with most of the Ratchet and Clank games that came after this one. Maybe we did see some of these places again. I mean, there have been times where we've seen the planets more than once. Well, some of the planets in Up Your Arsenal were planets you saw in the original game. And some of the, I think we went to that tropical planet for the first game again in the fourth game, or whatever you call it. This game technically wouldn't be this game. I mean, this game technically is Ratchet and Clank 4 if you live in Japan. At least that's how it's branded as in Japan. I guess if they just named it Ratchet, some weird word, the Japanese people wouldn't have got that it was supposed to have been the part of the Ratchet and Clank series. They personally called it that, so it's obvious it's part of the Ratchet and Clank series. Do they really think people in Japan are stupid? Well, past research suggests maybe they did think that. Or maybe it was just some crazy marketing thing. I don't know. You never really know what goes on behind the scenes of these games. There's so many secrets that happen when games are made, and these secrets pretty much never get released to the general public. We'll just never know the truth of what really happened on the set of these games. And maybe that's for the better. We're not supposed to know everything that goes on in our favorite games that goes on. Games are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be forms of entertainment that we play, and it just gives us a fun, enjoyable experience at the end. It's not supposed to be filled with political, nonsensical bullcrap like a lot of people like to make games out to be. I mean, this game had some like bureaucratic media-related bullcrap in it. Really proves that was all just a bunch of, stuff that's all wrong and unjust, and we took a stand against him and won. And Gleeman Vox is pretty much dead now. I don't think he ever returned in any games. So as far as we're concerned, he is dead. He blew up with his own thing, just like Grand Moff Tarkin when he blew up on the Death Star. And we never see him in anything again afterwards. All this production stuff here, like people worked on this, and it's showing the cool visuals of that like space station or whatever it was called. We went to the space battle station or whatever it is. Or is that the home world? I can't really tell. A lot of the levels look the same. I don't really know which level is which, and you go through them so fast, so that's like, you don't even register which level is what. Oh, here it is, the Japanese voice actors. It tells us which actors, which Big Al, yeah, and like, that's what he was called in the first game, Big Al, Gleeman Vox, Dallas, Juanita. Oh, the Japanese voice actors are credited here. And the credits are actually written in Romaji. I don't know how well they are reading Romaji, but I can read Romaji because it's the same alphabet that we North Americans use. Saying you can read Romaji isn't really saying much, really. It's showing more of the credit to the people that gave their voices to this game, the native Japanese speakers behind this. Oh look, Nefarious and Lawrence. They're credited for being in this game. I don't remember them ever being in this game. Was that some secret cutscene I missed? Is it like a secret bonus level or a bonus stage you have to fight against them again? I don't know. I don't know if this game has any secret bonuses. At least, I don't really know of any secret bonuses in this game. But again, some of the other ones supposedly had museums or things you could go into where you could view the galleries from the developers of the game. I never got to unlock those. I don't know if this game has anything like that or not. I don't know. I have no idea, and I probably never will find out. Yes, Naughty Dog helped me work on this game using their proprietary technologies. So thank you, Naughty Dog, and thank you, Logitech, too. That's the same company that made my mouse that I'm using right now, my trackball mouse, Logitech. And Nelly Moser, whatever you say, I have no idea what that is. I'd like to give her special thanks to Sony Computer Entertainment America for their contributions to this game. Giving a special thanks, statement. And Mark Cerny worked on this game, too, where he gave a special thanks. Yeah, he's a great fellow that worked on a lot of these other games before. Or so it may have seemed. Thank you to all those people. Thank you to all this. Yeah, this is a really great game overall. It's an underrated masterpiece, I think. This definitely is one of the best games in the PS2. It's a game that kind of just slipped under my nose for the longest time. And just about a year and a half ago, or for the last 2 years, I pretty much gave it 20 years worth of playtime all over the course of the last 2 years, making it one of my most played games ever. I'm starting to question now if Star Wars Battlefront 2 really is my favorite game that came out in 2005. Or maybe it's this game then. Maybe this is the best game that came out in 2005. I think the Korean version of this game had the cheat code in it for the Korean version of Ape Escape 3, where you could enter in the code to unlock the Ape Ratchet in that game. Okay, so this is probably this looks like this is probably why Dr. Nefarious and Lawrence are credited. So the credits kind of spoiled this little extra scene, where they're still stuck on that asteroid they ended up at the end of Up Your Arsenal, and they're drifting off into space. They're trying to get to the station, probably thought there was life forms there, but when they got there, it was destroyed just like Alderaan, and Dr. Nefarious's antenna in his brain is still giving him the audio signals from that soap opera they watch. Oh, Janice! Oh, Engelberg! Oh, why you cheat on me? But I didn't cheat on you. Engelberg cheated on me, but I am Engelberg! Oh yeah, I remember that crap. That's some pure quality gold right there. His arm is still floating off in the vastness of space. It was probably made of indestructible alloys. This is just a message thing telling us, oh, do you want to continue, do you want to start a new game? Or what for retaining all your progress you made before? Yes, I will save my game. It says on the bottom left-hand corner as it's going back to the beginning of the game in a harder difficulty. But I know how much harder it could be because we just beat the game the hardest difficulty setting. Yeah, this is a great game overall, an excellent masterpiece from Insomniac Games that I hope never fades into obscurity. I hope this game remains available forever. Thank you for watching this Let's Play. Ray Phoenix, signing out.